Hey, what's up, YouTube? Hey, this is the Bass God. Hey, I'm going to kind of focus on more videos that leans towards the newer community because, like I said, I've been on YouTube for a long time, and now I'm going to focus on passing off information to you guys so your builds could be a lot better. Like, so I've been doing this a long time, and I've gotten to the point now where I'm getting older. I just want to go to shows and record demos and reactions and stuff. But I'm a I'm gonna jump back into the basics of car audio, and I think a lot of people in the community needs this because what you see on social media today is not the same for what it used to be back in the day. So, first things first, y'all know that I am pretty known for being opinionated or having my own constructive response about anything. But what I'm going to talk about is how to get the best sound from your doors and how to make your music sound a lot better and why a subwoofer should not vibrate when you're playing regular music through it. So now you know why when you play your music, your subs are vibrating, your trunk is rattling, and all that other stuff. That's fine and dandy. We all been through it. I've been through it. But let's keep something in mind. Let's say you have a driver, a mid bass driver, all right, and you have a horn and you have a tweeter, all right. Each one of these has a designated purpose. They have a purpose, all right. Now, imagine you have a mid bass trying to produce vocals, right? You have a mid bass speaker or mid range. Because me personally, I think anything that looks like this does not need to have vocals coming through it. And I'm going to tell you why, all right? So let's just say you have this speaker and you have vocals coming through it, right? Now, and I'm talking about a mid range. You have vocals coming through a mid range. And most mid range frequencies, like the hot spot is around 1,000, 2,000, between 1 to 4,000 kilohertz. That's the sweet spot, right? So around that sweet spot, that speaker or this speaker or any mid-range speaker that looks like this or similar to this has to vibrate 2,000 times to reproduce that frequency. All right, it has to vibrate that many times. It has to go through 2,000 cycles to reproduce that frequency. Now, do you think this speaker or a mid-range can do that? Yes, it can. It can do that. But at the size that is at and the rate that it has to move to compensate for that sound, it doesn't add up. And this is one of the things that came to mind with me. All right. And pretty much, if you want to get the best sound out of your setup, don't run vocals through your mid-range. Mid-range is for mid-range only, i.e. Snares, maybe low-end male voice, just a little low-end male voice. Drums, percussion, things of that nature, right? And this is one of the reasons why I went with all mid-bass. And I'm going to tell you why I went with all mid-bass, right? I went with all mid-bass, and this goes, I know I kind of went off topic, but this goes in line with why subwoofers should not be vibrating. And you see a lot of guys in the SPL community doing that, which is nothing wrong with that. You got the SPL, you got the strict bass community, they just want to be loud. I have nothing against that. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, whatever floats your boat. But I'm going to let y'all know why a subwoofer does not need to vibrate, right? You may get a little vibration, but it doesn't need to vibrate, right? So a lot of subs vibrate because they play in the frequency range they should not be playing in. The 60, 70, 80, 100 hertz range. Same thing I talked about when it comes to vocals. All right, the vocals that's coming out mid-bass and mid-range speakers. You got mid-bass speakers. All right, you got those frequencies that should not be coming out subwoofers. The same thing applies. Because if you have a mid-bass frequency, I say about 60 or 70 hertz, You got this big old subwoofer right here. That big old subwoofer that needs to produce 70 cycles, or it needs to vibrate, or it needs to go through 70 cycles. That big old subwoofer, and it's a lot of moving mass. So when a subwoofer has to do that, guess what? It's gonna accumulate to a vibrating sound, and that's where you get that. That's where you get that sound from, right? So when you get that type of sound, the music is not going to sound natural. That's just a fact. The music will not sound natural. All right. So to accommodate that, this is where it comes down to getting the right speakers for your setup. And this is why I have so many mid-bass speakers. This is why I have 10 mid-bass speakers in my doors. So it can compensate me not having to run 60, 70, 80 hertz through my subwoofers. And if you all know, music is supposed to sound natural as possible. And that is the whole reason behind this setup. So with your subwoofers, a subwoofer's job is to only augmentate your doors. Meaning, if you're playing music, your subs should sound like they're coming from the doors, not the subwoofers. I'm going to say this again. Your subwoofers, you should not hear it. You should only feel it. So from your doors, it should sound like your lows are coming from the doors, because your subwoofers is being augmented from the door speakers. So when you have those mid-bass frequencies and it drops, those subs are going to pick up that little small low end area where these cannot pick up at. But when these hit low, they're not really going low. It's the subwoofers going low, but it's going to sound like it's coming from the door speakers. And you're going to see what I'm talking about when you all hear this build for the first time, this particular setup. All right. Now, another reason why you shouldn't run your subwoofers at higher frequencies. All right. You run the risk of heating your coils up, burning your coils up, because the subs vibrate so much and so quick. Just imagine if you're out giving demos and your subwoofers are being crossed at, let's just say, 80 hertz, which everybody in the freaking industry is saying, hey, 80 hertz is the go-to frequency. No. You cross a subwoofer off at 80 hertz, it's going to double down all the way down, or it's going to roll off all the way down to 160 hertz. You're pretty much killing your sub already. And you already decided that your music is going to sound like shit. You've already determined that already. So let's check mark that. All right. You determined that already. So once you've determined that, all right, that right there, that kind of made me think. I was like, nope, subs don't sound right because it doesn't sound like the music. And I always just say to myself, like, why is my music sounding like this, and it sounds different through the headphones? And I used to think that it was the system alone that didn't sound right, or subs just didn't go right. And it's not that subs don't go right with setups. Subs are poorly set up, you know. And throughout the years that I've been on YouTube and getting so many speakers, and if you wonder why I switched through so much equipment, I switched through so many equipment, or so much equipment, so many speakers, because I try to find the right brand that I like to run that fits what I'm trying to hear. All right. And that's the reason why I got these mid-bass speakers right here. Not because I'm trying to advertise. That's not what this is about. It's because these particular speakers, of all the brands I've had, reproduces the mid-bass that you hear in everyday music. I haven't ran across any other brand that does that here in the US. Have not. And this is coming from me. Now, are the other brands good? Do they sound good? Yes, they do. But they do not play the mid-bass like these play. Does not do it. Hands down, I'll tell you that straight up. It does not. It just don't do it. You know? And when I heard these, I was like, you know what? This is what I need to do. So what I do, just to stop my subwoofers from vibrating so much, these are set to 60 hertz and below, doubling down to 32, going all the way down to 32. And I have my woofers crossed over at 40 hertz. So guess what? My woofers aren't going to be playing 80, 90, 100 hertz. It's not even going to be playing 60 because I have a Helix DSP Pro. So I can manipulate the frequencies and I can cut a lot of things out. So by me cutting a lot of things out, guess what? I can stop those frequencies from playing in my subwoofers. So my subwoofers, not only would I be able to have longer demos, but guess what? My subs will not heat up as quick because the number one reason why a lot of people's coils burn up is from high vibration and long vibration, playing at 70, 80, 90, 100 hertz frequency tones. That's what you don't want your subwoofers playing, all right? If you set your subwoofers right, meaning you augmentate your subs to your mid bass, you will get a cleaner sound, you will get longer demos, and your subs will last longer. Bottom line, all right? And like I say, mid bass speakers, in my opinion, should not have vocals coming out. Not even mid-range. It shouldn't even have no vocals coming out at all. Maybe just a little bit, just for the roll-off purposes, just so it can blend at that lower peak and that higher peak where the vocals should come out. But your speakers should not be the main source for vocals. Mid-bass or mid-range. I don't care what nobody say. At the end, it's about business. If y'all want to talk, if y'all really want to know the truth, it's about business. And that's okay. It's all about business. But personally, vocals should not come out mid-bass speakers. Vocals should not be the main point from mid-range speakers. Vocals should come from horn drivers. It should come from tweeters, super tweeters, horn tweeters, or anything. Because guess what? You have the diaphragm. Everything is so small, it can create those frequencies at a better rate without it getting hot. That's why they're so small. And that's why you have high dB ratings. The higher the dB rating, guess what? The better they will be for vocals. That's why you have a lot of mid-bass speakers, or you have amplifiers at dB ratings like 90 dB or 89 dB. These are rated at 89 dB. Nowhere near the 100. Well, it's near the 100 area, but the lower the dB rating, the more they are acceptable for bass frequencies. The higher the dB, the more acceptable they are for the higher frequency. That's why you have horn drivers that's rated at 110 dB, 108 dB. That's the whole aspect around the dB ratings. So keep that in mind, guys. And like I say, I'm going to start doing more informational videos so y'all can really understand how this actually works. Because like I say, from my experience, from what I've done, from me tuning, because like I say, everything that happens in this truck, I do everything myself. Nobody gives me tips. Nobody tells me how to tune. I've learned it all on my own throughout the years, you know. And like I say, I do not think vocals should come out of any speaker like this unless, like I say, unless it has a coax, unless it's coaxial, meaning it have a tweeter in the front, or it's a two-way speaker and it has a tweeter. That's the only reason why. But other than that, play a speaker, a regular mid-range driver by itself, and then play it with a tweeter, and you'll notice the difference. But like I said, I hope this helps you guys out. This is going to be a new trend that I'm going to start, is giving out information to you guys. Anything else you guys want to talk about, drop the comments, let me know, and we can get this going. Hey, y'all be safe. Peace.